Okay, ready with reading. So lex voluntatis, as long, in Article 5, you choose between what? So 5 options. So lex voluntatis, but not the law of the moon. So consumer protection with some freedom, but limited freedom. So easy to understand. And with all kinds of cases, with tourists, you know, you, Spain, and your nationality, and then a Greek ferry boat company that brings you to Mallorca, and then to Sicily, and then to Crete. And so those beautiful vacations you dream. Now, what is then the applicable law? That is done in general terms and conditions, because you're not negotiating on the counter with the lady or the gentleman. So I want to go to Mallorca, and tell me what the applicable law will be chosen. Oh, I don't like the destination one. I want the departure one. No. And so you as a consumer have to accept the general terms and conditions. But if in those general terms and conditions a funny applicable law is chosen, then the consequence of Article 5 is that that choice is invalid. So there are 2 views on the choice of law. One, you may actively choose, so hands together, sing kumbaya, and then you choose your applicable law. Or it is chosen and you check whether it is a correct choice. And if it is an incorrect choice, then it is as if no applicable law is chosen. So the 2 perspectives. Thank you. Let's move to the Holy Grail. Question 5. Characteristic performance. And I call that the Holy Grail because the private international law scholars spent 100 years to discuss this concept. And those scholars are a little bit disappointed that in this regulation sort of it disappeared. It's not that important anymore because it's replaced by quick and dirty rules. Everybody understands, not only private international law scholars. And so that is what historically happened. So I wrote a thesis on characteristic performance. 1. So I like it. But I admit, it's not sort of the end of the world anymore. But there's sort of little item left in Article 4. So which part of Article 4, neighbor, is touching on the characteristic performance? Which paragraph of Article 4 is dealing with characteristic performance? 1? So which part? But where in 1? For 2. Yes. Article 4, paragraph 2. So I always wonder, and I said this before, I repeat, why on earth put 7 different stories in one article? Why not call the goods thingy 4, and then the service thingy 5, and then the immovable property 6, and this characteristic performance thingy 7, so that we have not these awkward moments in workshop lectures, that you, as a puzzle, you have to find your way. And so when you're a legislator, like the Americans, be generous with numbers. Hard return, new number, you know? Allow Bill Gates' word do the work with automatic numbering. Alright. Anyway, what does paragraph 2 of Article 4 of the Rome 1 regulation say? Okay. So luckily enough, we still talk about countries, because countries are providing applicable law. 2, in that country, someone is having habitual residence. Which someone? The someone of the contract that has to perform the characteristic performance. And that is a phrase that needs interpretation. So, when you have a contract that is not about a good, and not about service, and not about the consumer protection and so forth, and not about real estate, then how can you determine the applicable law? And then the answer is to identify the characteristic performance. Well, neighbor, what is a characteristic performance? And maybe you start with the example of the sale of a good. Let's say you sell a Gucci bag. So who is in such a transaction doing the characteristic performance? You can do it. So maybe try the negative answering thing. Who is most likely not doing the characteristic performance in the Gucci bag transaction? So I sell you a Gucci bag. You know what it is? Nice. $6,000? A good one. You know? Where you dare to come to lectures with such a thing. So who is then not doing the characteristic performance? Why? It's correct. So what is the buyer doing? It's a simple contract. So when you purchase a bag from me, what do you do? Probably 2 things. 3 things. You smile. Yeah. And so that's the noun. So what do you do? Okay. And so you give me money. So you do something like this. Well, probably. And so that's what you do. And you take ownership. So you do 3 things. First is not legally relevant, the smiling. And the other 2 are really are relevant. So neighbor, at the back row, over there, what is the seller doing? So you're coming from Mars, and you study the behavior of humans on Earth. That is what you do as a lawyer. You know, you study this bizarre phenomena, what we do with each other. Private law and criminal law. All right. So what is the seller doing? He's what? Yeah. Yeah. And then it's sort of wizard, so the bag is sort of created like that? Probably not. When I look like this. So the seller is sort of involved in getting the bag present. And so either making it himself, knitting in the evening. It's a new trend, knitted bag, $10,000. Don't laugh. Girlfriend will ask one day. So the seller has to go through some headache in getting the bag there, and the right bag, the right color, right quantities, and so forth. So the characteristic performance is nothing more or less than the physical activity that is more characteristic than paying money. Because everybody has a bank account in the EU, but not everybody knits Gucci bags in the night. And so that is characteristic compared to paying money. So it's not an insult that it is stupid to earn money to have money, but it's sort of choice that, okay, somewhere we need a connecting factor, von Savigny, to bring the relationship home, as he called it. And that is, okay, let's look at the behavior and label the behavior. Characteristic, non-characteristic. And then performance as in a contract, where you have to perform on the contract, and applicable law is needed when there is non-performance. Because applicable law you need when something goes wrong. Otherwise you do not need applicable law. And you're just happy with your bag. So it's about non-performance. Non-performance is that you do not get your bag and you pay. Or that the bag is not Gucci but homemade, and so forth. So you look at that type of performance. And then neighbor. Next question. Then we have a reserve Holy Grail. And that's in the next paragraph. So share the next paragraph with us. Okay. So the key phrase, neighbor, is which one? So you have to write a book on this one, and you look for a title. So what is your title? Holy Grails in Private International Law, column. And I don't want the name, Like in a good movie, the star has a name, King Arthur. So what's the name? I tell this to my year 4 students who write on happiness on the go, and tell I need to put the title of your thesis in a database, and I don't want to put in the happiness on the globe from a legal perspective. So give me a more catchy name. All right. So what is the name of your article on this one? Yeah. So you're limited to 2 words. Oh no, 3 words. So which three words? I force you to choose three.
Okay, I'm going to choose clear,
More closely connected?
Yeah.
Cool. I like that title. Any alternatives? No. So, most closely connected, or more closely connected. This is the so-called escape clause. If all the quick and dirty rules do not fly, dear judge, do not be in despair. We have another tool. And then you put all the facts of the case in a blender, kitchen machine, and then you look at the color and you smell and you sounds like Dutch law. Most closely connected. So that is the overdrive of Mr. von Savigny, that you bring the relationship home. So let's create a case together in the last 5 minutes, how that looks like. So what type of bizarre facts can we imagine? So you make an exam question, where the judge is sort of in coma first and then awakes. And I said, okay, let's settle for paragraph 3 and pick a certain country that is manifestly more closely connected to the contract. Yes?
Does Article 4, paragraph 3 mean that even if 1 or 2 does apply, but there is a country that's more closely connected, is it overriding?
It's an overriding escape clause.
Okay.
In the situation that as a judge applying 4.1, you have this legal feeling down here that is trained in legal education and further developed in your career that says, doesn't feel right. Alright? Doesn't feel right. And then you can settle for paragraph 3. Okay. You start. And together we build a bizarre case. So give me a name. No. Of a party. No. Okay. And the baby is called? Okay. Ernst is entering into a contract with Mr. Van. All right. So which language is she speaking? Dutch. Okay. Dutch language. And Mr. Van B? No. Let's have another name. Francis. Speaking?
French.
French. All right. Nationality? No, well, bizarre, you know?
Italian.
Italian. Italian. And Francine?
Bulgarian.
Bulgarian. And then where are they? Brazil. They are in Brazil in nationality, language, and what's the contract about? A truly bizarre object.
Sex toys.